It's Tuesday night, and it's the last Tuesday of August, which means it's Phil Chaplin and Arnie Jones coming to you live on the airwaves through this great podcast. And tonight, Phil Chaplin, good evening to you.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey,
Good being on here, man.
Great to be on the air for sure. Tonight, Phil Chaplin, let's talk about wide receivers. How about it?
Love it, man. Love it. It's funny because as you look down through this, right? We talked a little bit before off air. It's interesting because when we start to make our lists. I mean, I don't know about you, Arnie. I think you think a lot like I do. I start to break down all these tiers, right? So I think it's really important to identify, how you're doing this, right? So I'm just interested, a guy like you, how you break your tiers down.
Well, what I do is I take who I think are the elite of the elite. So I've got like a 1 and then a 1A group. And to me, there are probably 5 or 6 wide receivers in that top elite group. After that, the next group, the group 1, or 1A rather, they're still really good, okay? But when I get down to around pick number 30, 31, that's when I'm starting to look at who could have a lot of upside, yet still produce for me in the regular season. And I think that's where the leagues are won. Who you get after pick 30 in the wide receivers. Because if you're in a 12-team league, you're going to get somebody below number 30. You got to, right? So that's kind of how I look at it. What about you, Chappie?
Well, I know you listen to me. I do it a number of different ways, right? So I like to start it. I talked about this at 7. I know you had some technical difficulties, but at 7 I was talking about how I like to start out and look at last year's stats. When you look at last year's stats, some things come to mind, right? Some things come to mind. The fact that, and I hate to go back to this, but I think it's important to shed light on. There were only 9 receivers. There were only 9 players with double-digit touchdowns receiving. Only 9, right? That's not a lot. There were only 11 players who had over 100 receptions. So I think to your point, when you're looking at these guys and you're breaking these down, who is the most likely to fall into that category? Because where you feel like there's good depth in the receiver position, if you look at the history, the true numbers, it's not as deep as you might think.
Well, we're going to take a look, and Chappie, what I'm going to do is, we're talking wide receivers tonight. We already had a question in the chat room. My good buddy Jack Youngblood, the Maryland native Jack Youngblood, he wants to know, he has the 5th pick in the draft, who should I take? I got a couple of questions first for Jack. He can get back with us when we start. First of all, are you in a PPR league, a half-point PPR league, or a standard league? Because that would make a big difference with me, who I draft first. Do you agree with that, Chappie? You got to know what kind of league you're in, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think aside from that, like, what is the format? Do you have? Is it a 3 wide receiver league? Is it a flex league? I want to know that as well. So yeah, I think finding those parameters is important first and foremost before you make a decision.
I've also played in 2 quarterback leagues versus 1 quarterback league. And in 2 quarterbacks league, I'm drafting quarterbacks earlier than I would in a standard or PPR with a 1 quarterback because they're gone before you know it. And so it makes a big difference in who you go. Okay, so Jack says it's a standard league. Let's take his question first, and let's just take turns picking. How about that? So let's say, Jack, are you with me? If you can hear me, I don't know what kind of lag time we have here. But Jack, when you're ready, you take the first pick in the draft. Chappie, you go 2nd, I'll go 3rd, you go 4th, Chappie, and I'll go 5th. Okay? So, Jack, when you're ready, you take the first overall pick in the draft. He said he's got 1 quarterback, 2 RBs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. Okay, that helps us.
Yep.
All right, so as soon as Jack takes the first pick in the draft, then Chappie, you're on the clock. How about that?
Sounds great, man.
We hadn't planned on this at all, folks. This is live. This is live radio. Well, okay, he takes Saquon Barkley. No shock there. Okay, so Chappie, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I'd probably go McCaffrey.
Okay. I'm going to go with the 3rd pick. I'm going to take Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
So now you're up number 4, Chappie.
Oh, that's right. I would probably at number 4 in this scenario. If Zeke had signed, I'd probably go Zeke here. But given that he hasn't signed, I'd probably go D-Hop.
Don't you just feel bad about Zeke? I mean, can't you see another Le'Veon Bell 2018 season coming on with Zeke Elliott? I can see it.
I tend to take the other side of that. But I'll tell you this right now. Even if he signs today, Arnie, that doesn't mean he's going to step right in and play. He's going to miss time.
Did you watch the game? Did you watch Dallas in their 3rd preseason game?
Honestly, I tried to catch a little bit of it. I know that Pollard looked good.
He looked really good. He looked really good.
Yeah.
He looked first string good.
And I talked about it at 7. That's why I've kind of bumped Amari Cooper back up, because I think his competency, with or without Zeke, raises his and back into that elite category, right? That wide receiver 1 discussion.
So you've taken Hopkins at 4. We've taken 3 running backs off the board. I'm at 5. And now let's talk about this, Chappie. Here's who I think could be chosen before I pick number 5. Of course, you've got Nick Chubb. You've got Dave Johnson for Arizona. You've still got Zeke Elliott. You've got Mixon for Cincinnati, Le'Veon Bell for the Jets, Devontae Adams for Green Bay, Tyreek Hill for Kansas City, Julio Jones for Atlanta. Have I named somebody that you would take 5th out of that group?
I think you know me well enough, Arnie. I think you know you have.
I think I have too. So I'm going to go running back at 5, Chappie. I feel good about it. I'm going to go Johnson, Arizona Cardinals. Yes, I am. He's my 5th pick in the draft this year in the standard league.
Yeah, I mean, it was 50-50, right? I think you know the other guy I was considering.
Well, tell us, because I don't want to talk all the time. I want to hear you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm a really big believer in Le'Veon Bell this year. I think he returns top 3 value when it's all said and done. He's going to catch a boatload of balls there, just like Antonio Brown in Oakland. They're going to want to force feed him the ball. So I really like Le'Veon Bell. I think people are underselling him, right? So that's who I take there. David Johnson will be next.
So we're in total agreement on that.
Yeah,
I think it's 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Right,
I like it when we agree, partner. That's when I feel like I'm right for a change, you know?
It's scary how much it happens, right?
Yeah, whoa, blow me away. Totally blow me away. Andrea Lamont says, glad to hear it on Bell. I think Bell and Johnson are both going to have big years. I really do.
Yeah. And you know, as a Steeler fan, someone who's watched their entire career, the talent level of these guys, I think, is often undersold. And I know that sounds crazy because they both have been perennial top 5 to 10 picks, right? But I think that they kind of group those two together. And really, when it all comes down to it, Arnie, and I think you know this, those two guys are really special players independently. And they're going to show that.
So you got the Jets. I know we're getting off the wide receiver topic here.
It's easy to do.
I will try to get back on it by 9:30. How about that? But you know, you have Donaldson, who we talked about in our last show. I said Donaldson, the last 4 weeks of the season last year, only threw 1 interception. He was the highest rated quarterback in the National Football League during those 4 weeks. He's coming back with a lot of confidence. You throw in possibly the most talented running back in the NFL in Le'Veon Bell. So here I go. With Cam Newton walking around in a boot earlier in the week, I think he's out of it now, but who knows about Cam Newton, okay? How far away is your number 5 pick, Le'Veon Bell, or number 6 pick, from your number 3 pick, Christian McCaffrey? How much of a distinction is there between the 3rd and 6th pick?
Boy, that's a great question, Art. I hadn't really thought about it, right? I think they're closer than people might estimate. And where I'm coming from is I really do think that there's more of a risk with McCaffrey than people are realizing. I know he had a great year. I know he's a really good talent. I'm not saying that he's not, right? But he's not the biggest guy. and he likes to run in the middle. So there's some risk there, and especially if, like you say, if Cam Newton isn't it. I mean, I'm a Mountaineer, so I love Will Greer, but I worry about if he's ready or not yet. So there's some concern there in that offense. I think with Bell, you're talking about a little bit more of a stable situation, and in that, like you said, you have Darnold, you have two established receivers, you have Jameson Crowder, who I'm high on. I'm very high on, you know that. But the thing about it is, where the great either is between those two, Arnie, is the offensive line. If you look at Carolina's offensive line, they are rated 10th. Okay, but then you look at the Jets' offensive line, 25th, and so that kind of evens things out, right?
And in a standard league, now let's go back for a moment. If this were PPR, full point PPR, my opinion, I take McCaffrey clearly over Bell because McCaffrey's going to catch 100 passes this year. Right. I mean, no doubt about it. That's his strong suit. But in standard leagues where that doesn't matter, only receiving yards count, I think it's a close call. I think your analysis of the offensive line is spot on, Chaplain, and that's the difference. And I wonder by the end of the year, Barkley with New York, no doubt he's got the talent. No doubt he's going to get fed to death. But I could see McCaffrey having as good a numbers as Barkley. My point being, you can't really miss out in a standard league unless somebody gets injured with any of these guys we're talking about.
Yeah, and one more point, Arn, just a little perspective. Le'Veon Bell last played for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has the 5th best offensive line. Okay, this is projections. Okay, I understand that, right? But they're fairly quantified. So you're talking about going from the 5th best offensive line 25th best offensive line. It's foolish not to think that there won't be a little bit of an adjustment period, right?
Well, I can see the Jets using him more out of the backfield to catch passes than to run the football. I just see that happening. I'm not saying you're not going to see Le'Veon carry the ball. He's going to carry the ball, but I think he's going to be more of a receiver than we might give him credit for earlier in the season.
Give him space. He's a phenomenal receiver.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And I think Darnold's going to love it. I think Darnold, if we were talking quarterbacks, I'm thinking Darnold is a top 10 quarterback this year. And nobody's saying that but me probably. But
I'm with you. I've been saying it, buddy.
I think he's there. I think he's a top 10 quarterback this year. I think he's better than Matt Ryan this year. I think he's better than Goff for the Rams this year.
Agreed.
I think he's better than Cam Newton. Now, I don't think he's better than Mahomes. I don't think he's better than Watson. I don't think he's better than Mayfield. I don't think he's better than Rodgers, Wentz, Breeze. But after that, he could get right in there. He could be right there with Russell Wilson. He could have that kind of year. So, we'll have to see. Let's get back on topic. If you guys in the chat room want to talk about draft picks, leagues, questions, I tell you what, Chappie, we'll just stop what we're doing. We'll deal with the chat room. And all the malcontents who live in the chat room, like Jack Youngblood, who says the Jets will contend. And I agree, Jack Youngblood. I think they will too. But I've also said that about the Raiders, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, they're set up. I mean, they've got the workings there. They have to put it all together, right?
So let's go through our wide receivers. And I think I won the coin flip or lost it, but that means I get to go first. Is that right tonight, Chappie? Am I first tonight? Is that the way it goes? Okay. Yep. All right, so here we go. So I broke it down into my top 5 wide receivers. These are my group 1. Now, I've got group 1A, which will be 6 through 10. And after that, Chappie, I will just simply yield the floor to you for you to continue on the dialogue of top wide receivers in 2019. But my top 5 and my top 1 wide receiver, you've already taken him in the draft that we just had with Jack. Number 1 is DeAndre Hopkins, and it's easy to see why when you look at what he's done. Number 1, he's been a wide receiver 1 every year since 2014. Every year. He has everything you'd want. He gets all the targets. He goes deep. He scores the touchdowns. He's averaged more than 90 receiving yards per game 3 of the last 4 seasons. He's Deshaun Watson's number 1 guy. If you don't believe it, 100 receptions last year? I mean, how can you not take Hopkins number 1, Chappie, as wide receiver?
115 receptions, 1,573 yards, 11 touchdowns. He was targeted, Arnie, 163 times. Now, that's in the 17th ranked passing game. So he's a large part of that offense. Speak to your consistency. Speak to your, playing through injuries. This is a guy, he is about as big of a no-brainer as there is.
I mean, he's so clearly, to me, so leaps and bounds at number 1 above number 2. And number 2 is not chopped liver.
Right.
But to me, if you have a draft pick and you don't take Hopkins as the number 1 wide receiver, then I want to know what kind of medication you're really on. Or because you need to be on some if you're not taking it.
So to Andrew's point, he's just so consistent. He's never had a bad year. He's played through pain. He's played with shitty quarterbacks. That's why DeAndre Hopkins it's just like Pat Mahomes at the quarterback position. He is in his own tier. That's why you take this guy early.
And Andrea, I'll say this too. Andrea, I wouldn't take any other wide receiver in the top 5, but this guy is that good.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 2 wide receiver, here's where we'll start disagreeing. I know it's coming, but I got to do it. I got to go with Devontae Adams, number 2. And the reason being, 2 reasons. He burned me last year in the league. I didn't have him. And number 2, Aaron Rodgers has a big chip on his shoulder this year. So I got to go with Devontae Adams as my number 2 wide receiver. Add to the fact he caught 111 balls last year, 1,386 yards. What's there not to love about him at number 2?
9th best passing game. 264 yards a game. He's a big part of Aaron Rodgers. He's his go-to guy. So yeah, absolutely love it. It's he and this next guy are really. I really like this next guy. I know you like him too, but yeah, Devontae Adams he's how I break it down, Arn. I do the first round picks, the second round picks, the third round picks. Mm-hmm. He's in that team. So I agree. Yes.
So I'm 2 for 2 with you. Is that what you're telling me?
That is what you're telling me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm getting nervous. I'm starting to sweat. Hold on, let me get a swallow here. My throat's getting a little parched because anytime you agree with me so much, I get a little worried. But here we go. My number 3 pick. Now, if you'd asked me 6 weeks ago, my number 3 wide receiver, this would not have been my pick because I'd have thought he'd have missed week 1. But I got to go with Tyreek Hill at number 3. I love the kid, and he's got Pat Mahomes throwing him the ball, and he's going to score touchdowns, and he's going to score those 50-yard bombs. And I just love the fact that he's playing in the AFC West against the Denvers, the San Diegos, and my beloved Oakland Raiders.
I love it. And here's where I want to make a point, okay? I don't have him 3rd. I have him 4th. But if you look at Tyreek Hill, he is currently going in the 2nd round with the 2nd pick. That's up 1 from 1 week ago yesterday. Okay? So he is rising in ADP. If, for instance, you would value, a Michael Thomas better, or less rather, you would want to make your own list and reverse those guys, right?
Right.
Because you want Tyreek Hill. You want that opportunity. I'm not saying I still value Michael Thomas. It's 50-50, right? But I love Tyreek Hill. I had him last year in multiple leagues. I look for more of the same. They've added more weapons. And fact of the matter is, anytime Patrick Mahomes breaks the pocket, Tyreek Hill is a touchdown waiting to happen. I like that. I like having that.
I love it. Can you imagine drafting both Tyreek Hill and Pat Mahomes in the same draft?
I did it.
It's a winner.
I did it last year. Arnie. I did it, and I drafted Kareem Hunt as well.
That's why you are Phil Chaplin.
The great part is I get to keep, well, the first two in this league. I did it in multiple leagues, but neither here nor there. Tyreek Hill, I can get on board with number 3.
My 4th pick. I guess we're flip-flopping here because you just said who you were going to pick 3rd. I'm taking him 4th, Michael Thomas for New Orleans.
Yep.
And it's easy to see why. 125 receptions, 1,405 yards. Drew Brees' favorite target. I mean, these top 4 guys, this is why I have a top 4 that I think is beyond and above the rest of my number 1 receivers, because these guys, unless they get injured, I don't see how you can miss with these 4 receivers.
So, pop quiz, Arnie.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of balls do you think Michael Thomas caught last year?
85%.
All right.
I've done my homework. You love it. I'm not just a baseball guy. I've done my homework, right?
Arnie, who's second on that list?
Oh, let's see. How about if I told you Zach Ertz at 74%?
Nope, wrong answer. Wrong answer. Tyler Lockett caught 81% of the passes thrown to him last year.
Who?
Tyler Lockett.
I love it.
81%. He had 10 touchdowns, Arnie. 10 touchdowns. Sidebar. Keep that in mind come draft day.
I like that. See, that's why I got you on this show with me, because here I am thinking it was Zach Ertz, and now you're telling me it's Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Zach Ertz is on the list. He's a little further down. It's pretty cool. Danny Amendola was 3rd at 75%, tied with Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley? Cole Beasley?
Yeah.
You mean the former Dallas Cowboy Hall of Fame great Cole Beasley?
Who had 87 receptions last year, Arnie. And a PPR, that's 87 points.
No doubt. Oh, I'm all over it. I'm adding the points, and some people see sugar plums dance in their head. I see fantasy points just going round and round. Okay, so that's my top 4. Now, here you go. Am I still going here, or do you want to jump in here with some of these?
No, go ahead, man.
All right, I'm going to speed up a little bit now. Okay, I'm going to give you these as a group. So my next 5 through 9, or 5 through 10. You ready?
Yep.
Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, Michael Evans, Antonio Brown, Oakland Raider Hall of Famer, Cooper for Dallas, and Smith-Schuster for Pittsburgh, baby. Gotta have a Steeler in the top 10 now that Antonio Brown is in Oakland catching all the touchdowns that Derek Carr can throw his way. Those are my top 10.
I love it. I mean, there's some variances between us, but that's okay. That's what's great about it, right? I honestly think the Smith-Schuster thing's great. Boy, Big Ben looks really sharp the other night.
I made a deal. Whoa, time out. I made a deal with someone, and that person may be listening, that I would not watch the Steeler game until that game could be watched, the 2 of us. I don't know how it happened, but I think you just let the cat out of the bag. Okay, all right. So there we go.
Wait a second. You had to know that, Arnie. You had to know there was a good opportunity, so I don't feel sorry for you.
No, I was at the gym working out. They showed a picture of Big Ben on ESPN. I put my head down. I turned up. Yes, I listened to my radio. I turned up Matchbox 20, and I didn't listen to the story. So I really didn't know. But now I got a feeling I know. But that's okay. So that's what I got. I got Hopkins, Adams, Hill, Thomas, Jones, Beckham, Evans, Brown, Cooper, Amani Cooper, and Smith-Schuster. That's my top 10, Chappie.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty close. So my top 10 looks similar, but a little different. So I have Hop, I have Adams, I have Mike Thomas, I have Tyreek Hill, I have Julio 5th, I have Juju 6th.
Ooh.
I have Beckham 7th, Evans 8th, AB 9th, and Diggs is the only difference.
Okay, so you have Diggs in the top 10. I have Amani Cooper So, I mean, 9 out of 10 ain't bad. That's better than Meatloaf's 2 out of 3, right? So,
yeah, I mean, that's the easy part, though, right?
yeah.
I mean, the fun part, where we really start getting, is that next tier. Because everybody always asks about that first group. Where you win drafts is these next guys.
You're
right?
exactly right.
So I'm guessing it's my turn to.
You got 11 through 20, and I'm just doing like we did it. You give me one at a time, and I'll give you some feedback if you want it. But I'm ready.
So bear with me here as I try and gather my thoughts here. The first one I have, again, Keenan Allen is someone who's overlooked. I know he's kind of dinged maybe right now, but if you look at what the Chargers have this year, I really look for big things out of this guy in this offense. I really do believe that with Melvin Gordon not being signed, I think it's going to spread the ball around a lot more in Los Angeles. So I think when you look at a guy like Keenan Allen, I think there might be some value there because the guy's proven as a big game player. What you think there, Aaron?
97 catches last year from Phillip Rivers. I think the only thing that concerned me with Keenan Allen, I've got him at 13. So we're not far off. You've got him at 11. I've got him at 13. So I'm really close to you there. The thing that concerns me about Keenan Allen is not Keenan Allen, but what kind of role will Hunter Henry play coming back from that injury at tight end? I think he's going to catch a lot of balls. I think he's going to catch a few balls that might have otherwise gone the way of Keenan Allen. That's why I've got him at 13 and maybe not as high as you do at 11.
Yeah, and that's valid. I guess I'm coming from the school of thought, though, of those balls that maybe Melvin Gordon would have got might also get distributed as well, which could negate some of that, right? So that's where kind of I went with that.
Okay. Good point. I mean, we're both thinking along the same lines. The matter is, does Allen get them or does somebody else get them too? I don't know.
Right. I mean, and I think he gets a percentage of them, right? The other thing is the emergence of Mike Williams. I don't think people really fully understand how good he is, but he's a conversation for further down the list. Not as far as you might think, though, right? But so anyway, that's my number 11. Cooper is my number 12, which you've mentioned.
Right.
So I won't go into that very much. I do want to, at this point, let's talk about Stephon Diggs. And I just want to circle back on him because I think it's important to take note. They changed offensive coordinators the last quarter of the season last season. And when they did that, Diggs became the number one receiver. This guy has shown that he's capable of being that role. And it looks like the offense is going to lean on him a little bit more heavily this year. And you look at his numbers from last year, 102 receptions, 9 touchdowns, 1,021 yards. I think there's significant room for that to improve this year. And that's not a bad floor.
I won't steal your thunder because I got a feeling his teammate is still in your top 20. But to just echo what you're saying, I had his teammate on my fantasy team last year, and for the first half of the season, let's just say he kicked a lot of rear. Okay, he was incredible. Yeah. And I noticed, you're exactly right, the second half, or maybe the last 6 weeks more so.
Right.
His teammate, who again I'm not naming because I don't want to say his name, I want you to be able to say it in a few minutes. He drifted away while Diggs really came on, and I saw that firsthand on my own fantasy team. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because Adam Thielen's next. So at current point, Stephon Diggs is going in the 3rd round with the 5th pick in a 12-team PPR league. Okay, Thielen is going at 3-6.
Wow.
Thielen is actually raised in the last week a point, which is interesting. Whereas, because a point this high up, a point's pretty pretty significant, right?
Yes.
So Diggs stayed flat, and Thielen raised up from 3.7 to 3.6. So that tells me that people are getting the warm and fuzzies about Adam Thielen.
But I don't have warm and fuzzies about Kirky at all. I mean,
No,
I
right.
don't want Kirk Cousins on my fantasy team, period. And so if I go with Diggs and I go with Thielen, that means I got to believe in Kirky. And I just don't, Chappie.
Right.
Help me out. Get me off the cliff because I don't feel good about Kirky.
Yeah, and well, so I think a lot of that too, I think it really comes down to Stefanski, the new offensive coordinator. Because in all honesty, I think that they're going to look a lot different this year offensively. They brought in this guy. He runs that one-cut running scheme, which fits what Dalvin Cook did in college and was quite successful with. So they brought this guy in specifically in the run game to help Dalvin Cook, but also in the pass game to kind of establish that they bring in the tight end more. They focused on, rather than having two guys that they felt like was the number one, really focusing on Diggs. So I think of course it's all risk reward, right? But I think if you're sitting there in the middle of the third round and you want a receiver, I think it's important to take note. Diggs is greater than Thielen. I think that's important.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, that's just where I sit. But I think it's important to think those things through, right?
Right.
Because we can all have that feeling like, oh, well, I think this or I think that. Someone did it at 7 o'clock tonight. When you talk logically about it, there's a right answer here. That's my whole point. So again, Thielen, the number 3, Robert Woods I have next. I again, Los Angeles' offense is really, really impressive. I look for McVay to continue to develop these 3 receivers that they have. Woods last year had 86 receptions for 1,219 yards. He had 6 touchdowns. They were the 5th best passing offense, averaging 281 yards per game. I just tend to think they're going to do it again, Art.
I want to drift on you for a minute. The father of 9, yes, you heard me, the father of 9, that would be the quarterback for L.A., Phillip Rivers. North Carolina State, great. I hate saying that, but I got to. Why then do we see in so many projections Rivers around 12 or 13 in quarterbacks when we've got these 2 great receivers plus Hunter Henry, and we know Phillip Rivers loves to sling the football. He's going to throw it 40 times every game. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. And in all honesty, I mean, again, with the possible loss of Gordon, Eckler is a receiving back. So yes, I think that is a significant point. Absolutely.
And we're not talking quarterbacks, but I got Rivers higher than 13. I can tell you that in this year's draft. I can promise you that.
I've seen him later than that, though.
That would be a steal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I think he's still. I did a 12-team draft the other night. I think he's still on the heap.
That is an absolute steal.
Yeah.
And there are so many quarterbacks I would rather have him than who rank higher in the. I mean, Jared Goff, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, Allen for Buffalo. I saw one poll where Allen's ranked higher than Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh! You didn't realize I got this excited over fantasy football, did you, Chaplain?
I had a feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my doctor, I will throw this in. I talked to my doctor. You guys who know me know I had some real major league NFL like heart surgery in January, 5 bypasses. So I go back for my physical in July, right? And I won't go depths on this with you, Chappie, but I think you'll know where I'm going. But he told me now I can do things that I could do when I was a 25-year-old.
Nice.
So just let your imagination run wild with that one. And now let's move on to another wide receiver. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I talked about this earlier. This next group is really important. This next group, these next four guys that I give you can win your league. It's that important.
So, folks, you better write it down.
First guy, Brandon Cooks. Again, piggybacking off of Robert Woods. But this guy is the deep threat in that offense. 80 receptions last year, 1,204 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's a 4th-round pick. Again, I have Woods just a skosh higher than that. Cooks is the one being drafted first. But if he drops, I love Brandon Cooks. If you can get him in the 4th round, I think it's a steal. What do you think?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I got him 11th.
Yeah.
He's 11th on my list.
So we flip-flopped to who then? Basically? Is it Diggs?
You had Diggs at number 9. 10.
Yeah.
Was it Keenan Allen you had at 11?
Maybe that's it, yeah. So we flip-flopped Keenan Allen and Cooks.
Right.
Yeah. So, these next 3 guys I love.
Feed me, I'm ready. Feed me, I'm ready.
Number 14, Chris Godwin. 5th round, 3rd pick. You know who the head coach in Tampa Bay is. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I was listening. I'm taking notes. Okay.
Yeah. So Bruce Arians, year off of retirement, comes out of retirement to mentor Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay crew. Obviously, everybody knows about the athleticism of Mr. Michael Evans. It's well documented. He had 86 receptions last year, 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns. But this guy's comparably talented. 59 receptions last year, 842 yards, 7 touchdowns. He is squarely the number 2 receiving option now. He is going to get a larger chunk of that offense. Again, he was targeted 95 times last year. I look for that to go well up over 120 this year. And when you look at Jameis Winston, Arnie, does he not remind you a little bit of Byron Leftwich?
He is built just like him.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So I think he's got a new offensive coordinator. What's his name, Arden?
Oh gosh, help me out now that you've asked me. I told you this one last week, and now I can't remember. I'll come up with it in a minute. I'm sorry.
Byron Leftwich.
That's it.
Yes.
Who looks just like him?
Right. So my point is, Arden, if Winston can't do it in this friggin' offense, I don't know who can. So I really like Godwin. I think this is his breakout year. The next guy, these guys just keep getting better.
Now, see, I got Godwin way below that, but you go ahead. I'm loving it. That's why I'm writing things down, because I got Godwin way down the list. But go ahead, I'm ready. And I'll tell you why I got him down the list. I love the fact Leftwich is there. I love the fact that we like the potential with the quarterback in Tampa Bay. But by gosh, don't you just know he's going to bottom out 2 or 3 or 4 times the whole season. Remember, it wasn't long ago he was giving way to a backup quarterback, number 14, who's now on another team, right?
But Arnie, it also wasn't that long ago that he was selling for 4,000 yards.
So who do we get? That's my whole thing. I mean, do we get the Jameis Winston we love and adore and that we want to see come up with these big numbers, 2 wide receivers like Chris Godwin, or do we get some of what we got last year? I mean, to me, it's a mental thing with him. It's never been a physical thing. It's always been a mental thing with that quarterback. And Winston, if he can mentally get together, and maybe Leftwich has got it in his head. Maybe he's got in his head, maybe he's convinced him he can be this great quarterback that we know he should be. I mean, I've always thought Jameis Winston in college was as good or better as Cam Newton in college.
Yeah. Here's what it all comes down to. I am convinced of this, Arnie. No one will ever convince me otherwise. Coaching competency. That's what it all comes down to. He didn't have it last year. Dirk Cutter was not prepared to run that team. It showed. That will not be the case with this team, with this coach. I believe it with all my heart. You look at what he's done. You look at his resume. Arians will be a successful coach. Tampa Bay will be a good team.
So they're above 500 team this year, yes or no?
It'll be close because they still lack talent, right? Especially defensively. That's where they're lacking the talent. But I think he'll get the most out of what he has. I think they'll be better than what people think.
So
I think they're right around 500.
So rank these teams in order of best record, from best to worst. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, Oakland, the Jets.
Jesus, man.
If it were easy, Chappie, anybody could do it. But you are not anybody. Okay, so I'll throw another team in there if you want to, but those are the three I'm giving you. Tampa Bay, Oakland, or the Jets. Rank them from 1 to 3, best record to least.
You're not going to like it.
I can handle it. I'm a grown man.
The Jets, Tampa, and Oakland.
So give me.
I like the Jets because aside from New England, I think they're the best team in that conference.
Well, aside from New England, they're the only team in that conference.
Well, fair enough. But I do believe that they're much improved. And again, our discussion, we've talked ad nauseum about the improved quarterback play.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's why I have them 1. When I look at Tampa Bay, again, I see the coaching thing being a big influence. I think they were a good team last year that was mismanaged. I think you'll see some correction of that this year. I'm higher on Oakland than I was, Arn. I really do think AP is going to have a good year. I worry about Barr. I just do. I just don't know about him, man. But he has potential as well, right?
I think Carr and Brown are going to light up the AFC. I remember, and I know it doesn't matter, but in people's minds playing the game, it does. You may or may not remember this at all, but I think it was 3 Pro Bowls ago. Carr's in the Pro Bowl. AB's out wide, throws a bomb down the middle of the field, in stride. AB catches it, touchdown, AFC. And it was like, you could look at Carr's expression. It was like, man, I've got a new toy. And he does, but now he gets him for 17 weeks, including the 1 bye week. I just think Carr is going to have a renaissance year. I think he's going to have the kind of year this year in Oakland that we hoped Kirky would have in Minnesota last year, but didn't.
All right, Arnie. You like giving me these pop quizzes. I'm going to give you one.
Oh, my gosh. I'm ready.
Because I'm agonizing over this, and I just got to know. I am in my home league. We have 3 keepers. They've already been established. I know who's available. The scenario I'm in, my 3 keepers are Pat Mahomes. I'm keeping Tyreek Hill, and I'm keeping Dalvin Cook. I have the 3rd overall pick. I'm going to list you off 5 players, and I want you to tell me, I want you to order them for me.
Let me write them down, Chaplain. You're killing me here, but I'm ready. Go ahead.
Player number 1, Joe Mixon.
Okay.
Player number 2, Damian Williams.
Interesting.
Player number 3, Antonio Brown. Player number 4, trying to give you a good one here, David Montgomery. and player number 5, Stephon Diggs. Rank those guys for me.
Okay. Hold on a second. So let me make sure I got the names right. I've got Mixon. I've got AB, right?
Yep.
Okay. I've got Damian Williams.
Yep.
Okay, and I've got Montgomery.
Yep. And
Diggs. Okay, give me a minute.
Again, I've got a quarterback, I've got a receiver, and I got a running back.
Quarterback, running back, receiver, you've already got.
Yeah.
So I've got Montgomery.
2 with 2 flex.
Montgomery with Chicago, running back.
2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flex.
Okay. All right. Here's how I'm going to do it.
Yep.
You're not going to agree with me.
That's okay.
I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, I'm going to go number 1 on that list. I'm going to take Joe Mixon.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2 on that list, I'm going to take Antonio Brown. You're laughing. I don't know if that's good or bad. Number 3 on that list, I'm going to surprise you in just a moment. I'm going to take... this is getting close. I'm going to take Diggs third. Diggs third. I'm going to take Montgomery fourth.
Wow.
I think he's going to have a big year in Chicago. I really do.
Me too.
And by default, that leaves Damian Williams fifth. By default.
So, are you a fan of Williams?
Yeah, I'm a fan of him, but I like those other 4 better. It's not that I don't like him. I like those other 4 better. I really like Montgomery in Chicago this year. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah,
and if I'm drafting and I can get him in the 5th or 6th round, I'm a happy camper.
So he's currently going, Arnie, at 4 pick 11. So that should tell you the kind of momentum he has, right?
Right.
He's kind of a hot commodity, right? I wanted to throw him in there because I agree with you. I have Montgomery and Williams back to back, and it just so happens that I have them back to back at the turn, so RB1 to RB2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting with those two. Damian Williams has a really good opportunity to be in one of the best scoring offenses in the history of the NFL.
Yes.
So, that said, are you comfortable picking him in front of Mixon?
Here's the only thing. There are a lot of mouths to feed in Kansas City. Now, they're going to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of mouths to feed. And when you start feeding those mouths, and I've already told you I'm taking Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, that I think the top tight end in NFL, that's my take. I guess you could say Kittle and Ertz are right there, but I got to love Kelce. And then, they've got, I don't know, the thing is, I'm talking about the Chicago Bears, who are going to run the football, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I like that. Mixon, look, I don't have a lot of confidence in that passing game in Cincinnati. I think when they do pass, Mixon's going to catch some. He's going to run a lot. I don't know. I guess it's up for discussion, but I can't take the ball out of Mixon's hand. We got a known quantity there. Somebody's got to score in Cincinnati. Why not be Mixon?
Jack says he picked Diggs, Brown, Mixon, Williams, and Montgomery. It's interesting, right? So I guess to drill it down, right? So that's the great part about this. Here we're talking about this 3rd, 4th round, and the variety of opinion is great, right? So you can really, if you understand your ADPs and you understand that a lot of these people aren't really doing this back work, you can capitalize on it, right?
Right.
Maybe you might be able to get 2 from that group if you understand that I don't know, someone, I'm in a league with Arnie Jones. He's a big Raiders fan, so I better get Brown right now.
That's probably true.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just my whole take on like lumping these guys together and just doing that. So for me personally, I have Williams 2. I have AP 3. 4 and 5 is a tough one there for me, right? So Montgomery versus Diggs, I think that's it's an interesting, and it's funny because Jack has Diggs first. So, I mean, the variety there, right?
Right.
Montgomery versus Diggs, to me, is a really interesting conversation. I love Montgomery's potential, but we kind of know what we're getting with Diggs. So, it's just a really interesting discussion to have. So
here's my whole bat with Diggs is what I said earlier. I just have a problem with Kirky. I just do. Yeah. And I love, I'm old school. I love running backs. I just do. That's why I'm big on. I love running back. That's why Montgomery is intriguing to me. Mixon's intriguing to me. You're going to have weeks potentially in Oakland. I know it's shocking to hear out of my mouth where maybe AB doesn't catch 12 passes that week, okay? There's that potential. Agree? And so there's a little hesitancy there. I'm a little hesitant on Williams only because Kansas City, Mahomes is going to run himself. He's going to throw the ball down the field, and he's always going to be looking for number 10. I mean, he just is. And if I had number 10 on my team, I'd be looking for him too.
Yeah.
So,
I'm dying to talk about these last two guys.
Let's do it because we got 9 minutes. We better get moving.
And I've shed a little bit of light on both of them, but I think it's important to understand. We're talking about the 5th round here, right? The 5th round. This is important not to screw up. The first guy, Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett, okay? Again, go back and you're talking about an 81% catch rate. 70 catches, 965 yards, 10 total touchdowns. He is totally being undervalued. 5th round pick. This guy's a steal. Look, I know what you're going to say. Seattle turned into a running offense last year. I say bull hunky, okay? They're going to go back to pass. Russell Wilson wants to pass the ball.
Every quarterback who ever went to North Carolina State University loves to throw the football.
I thought he was a Wisconsin back.
Oh, well, here's what you don't remember. You don't remember.
I remember it.
You don't remember it. Yeah.
I remember. So my point is, Baldwin's gone, right?
Right.
They cut him. Lockett takes over wide receiver 1. You have other options there. Yes, they're still going to run the ball, but this kid, 81% is just a phenomenal number. That means he catches everything that those. I think it's a valid point. So I really do value this guy. Again, I have him as my wide receiver 17. And I'd like to say I'm willing to reach for him.
Well, if he's 17, that means you got 2 to go, chap. You got 18 and 19 left.
Yeah.
There are a few names I've not heard. There's one I don't expect to hear. And when you don't talk about him, I'm going to bring him up.
Okay.
But who you got at 18?
I hate to only give you 2 more because I got 4 more here I want to talk about. But so Calvin Ridley, 5th round, 5th pick. I love this kid. Again, 10 touchdowns last year. 10 touchdowns as a rookie. Sorry, I'm blind. I got to blow this up. So his catch rate last year as a rookie, Arnie, he got 70% of his passes. He had 92 receptions for 821 yards. What's not to like about this kid? It's just his 2nd year.
Oh, I love him. I go back to, I'll give the same analysis to the Atlanta receivers that I just gave to Thielen and Diggs. I'm not big on the quarterback this year in Atlanta, Matt Ryan.
So can I remind you of something that you might not have thought of?
Please, because it's late.
Two things. Thing one, were you aware that Atlanta spent 2 first-round picks on offensive linemen?
I was aware of that.
Yeah. I got to think that's going to help. The other thing that you might know, I don't know, Matt Ryan plays 13 of his 16 games in domed stadiums this year.
Okay, I hadn't thought about that. You got me on that one.
Yeah. So those two things, again, we talked about, I can't talk out of both sides of my mouth. I downplayed Dirk Cutter in Tampa Bay, but he's becoming an offensive coordinator as opposed to a head coach. I tend to give that a little bit of credit in a system that he's familiar with. He's familiar with the personnel, albeit Ridley wasn't there. The talent of this kid is just really special. So I think in the middle of the 5th round, he's a real value.
Well, I know they got Chris Lindstrom and they got Caleb McGarry both in that first round this year, as you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's got to help. I remember last year, he's 33 years old. Now, I know we can talk about age and it doesn't matter, but he doesn't look quite as quick as he once did to me. Watching him last year, I had him on my fantasy team. He threw the ball a lot.
Yeah.
But it seemed like when they got near the goal line, they ran the ball a lot. If you remember, Julio Jones had a hard time getting touchdowns, remember? And I like a quarterback who not only throws for a lot of yards, I like a quarterback who throws for a lot of touchdowns. They're running the ball near the goal line. Now that goes to your argument. You're taking this this running back for Atlanta or this wide receiver for Atlanta. Are they going to throw the ball more and give it less to running backs? I don't know. They're going to change their whole style. I think with the 2 offensive linemen, they run more and throw less potentially. I'm just giving you that as a counterpoint.
So, can I counter that?
Yes, please.
I will revert back to this. Stats are king, right? 9 receivers had 10 touchdowns receiving last year. 9 in the entire NFL. Calvin Ridley was one of them.
That's why you are Phil Chaplin. I got it.
Rookie.
As a rookie.
The only rookie on this list.
So who's your...
That's why it's important to understand that. That's why it's important to get that, right? That's why it's important to think about it that way.
So that leaves you with your last pick of the night. You're at number 20. You've taken all these great wide receivers. We've seen you take Cooper and Cooks and Hill and Allen and Thielen and Woods and Diggs and Lockett and Ridley, and now you're at number 20. And tell us, Phil Chaplin, we're anxious to know who is your last pick in the second tier at number 20.
Can I talk about Jarvis Landry?
Yes!
Was he it?
No, but...
I love Jarvis Landry this year. I think he's the most overlooked part of that offense. You're talking about a target monster and an offense that is going to throw the ball as a weapon. And what I mean by that is they're going to throw the balls or run a lot. And Jarvis Landry is going to be a big part of that. Landry had 149 targets last year. He only caught 81% of those targets. I think that's going to be better this year. He still had 976 yards and 4 touchdowns. A mid-6th round pick on this guy. It's a big reason why I love what Baker Mayfield has is the fact that this guy's his safety valve. When ODB decides to be himself, he'll still have this guy, and this guy's going to kind of come back to the forefront in this passing game this year. I love Jarvis Landry in this offense.
Okay, so now I'm going to throw 3 names at you that I didn't hear. Okay, and I'm going to save the easiest one for last. But I didn't hear AJ Green from Cincinnati in the top 20 between you and me.
Yep.
I mean, come on, AJ Green, All-Pro, number 1 receiver in Cincinnati, and we've both not got him in our top 20. So what's going on with AJ Green?
Just the injury risk, right? I mean, you look at what's going on, and the fact of the matter is, Tyler Boyd did a good job with the role last year.
Loved Tyler Boyd last year.
Yeah, you wonder if when he comes back, that's still his, right? So, I mean, I think that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is like we talked about with Joe Mixon, they're going to focus more on running the football. They're going to get the ball him out of the backfield. It's going to be interesting to see that dynamic. And even if he does come back, who's to say he stays healthy?
Love it. Okay. I also didn't hear you mention zero wide receivers for the New England Patriots, America's new team.
Yeah. Yeah. And in all honesty, I have Edelman and Galladay were my next two. So, you know, I just, with me, I'm not a big Edelman fan, just because of the fact that they're getting old. I mean, they've been old, right? One of these years is due to break down. I just don't want to be on that train when it breaks down.
And then finally, Phil Chaplin, ranked in some preseason boards as high as number 11. We didn't even mention him. We haven't even talked about his team. It's like if I put my ear outside my window, I would hear nothing but little crickets. Because I'm now going down the road to the newly departed Indianapolis, where we don't have a quarterback other than Brissett. And what becomes of who was the 11th ranked wide receiver, T.Y. Hilton? It's quiet, Chappie.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings about this. I talked about this at 7. I reactionary wise, I knocked him well down this list. He is at the bottom of the third tier. I'll move him back up. I don't think Indianapolis is going to be as bad as people think. I'll probably put him at the beginning of the third tier. So, wide receiver, we'll say 28. Okay. So I got Robbie Anderson, Sterling Shepard, Will Fuller. I'd probably put him before DJ Moore, before Alshon Jeffrey. So I do think that, you know, there's a few key factors, right? Factor one, the head coach, the general manager, night and day difference. They're running a competent organization now. Frank Wright is a great mastermind. I love what Frank Wright is doing. Chris Ballard is giving them plenty of talent to work off of. The offensive line is stabilized. I really do think, you know, T.Y. Hilton might be a bargain if you get him at the right price.
I think he's going to fall so far with the news now, because I think everything is knee-jerk reaction.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's going to fall so far down in drafts. Now I agree with you. I think when he is drafted, he will be a steal. Because Brissett's got to throw to somebody, and that somebody's going to be T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, and I mean, so there's more there than just T.Y. though, Arnie. That's the mistake, right? I mean, you got Jack Doyle, you got Eric Ebron, you got this Paris Campbell, I think is his name. You got Devin Funches, you got Nyheim Hines. They've got weapons. That's what I'm saying. It's a different team now than what it was 2 years ago.
And Eric Ebron being a North Carolina Tar Heel alum. It's a great way to end a Tuesday night. Phil Chaplin, I'm going to tell you, about the time I think it can't get any better, you and me, I think it just did. I really do. Hey, man, great job.
I love talking about this stuff, man. I mean, honestly, it's good to get the different perspective, and it's always good when you get, you know, a different way to look at things. So this has been great.
So let's pick it up as soon as we can. I don't know when that'll be, but at least by next Tuesday night, if not before, let's pick it up. I'm going to be back on Thursday at 10 with some baseball. And I save all my football for you, Chappie. I just think it's just incredible the way we can, you know, tee off and say go when the whistle blows. It's great. It's great to be with you tonight, buddy. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it, bud. Thanks.
So that's it for Chappie and Arnie's Fantasy Chat tonight. It's NFL football. And you know, drafts are happening this weekend. The regular season is just like 10 days away. So let's be ready to. In fact, I think there's a game a week from tonight. Am I not right, Chaplain? Thursday night football kickoff next week. I think I'm right.
A week from Thursday. Yeah.
A week from Thursday because it's Tuesday night. Okay, so we got 9 days away, and we're trying to give you all we can give you on wide receivers. So thank you, Andrea. Thank you, guys in the chat room. Devic DeBizzle, George, Jack, Phil, Timothy Hooker. Phil's in the chat room, but he's also with me. I'm just reading the list. So, and Arnie, how about that? Hey, guys, have a great night. Chaplain, good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, man, good talking to you. Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later, everyone. Good night from Chappie and Arnie, Fantasy World of Sports.